Good morning, class. Now, let's discuss about the Elons Rule. In this rule, here we will discuss that how the organisms will adopt itself for the cold climatic region. So, here the rule is given by the scientist, that is Elons, and hence the rule it is named as a Elons Rule. Here, the organisms which live in the cold climate. Okay, so here the organisms living in cold climate have small ear pinna and limbs. According to this rule, the organisms which is living in a cold climate, they will be having a small ears and a small limbs. Means why the extremity, okay, why these organs are small in structure? Because it is living in a cold climate. Hence, whatever the body temperature should be retained in the body itself. Hence, they will be having the small ear and the limbs. So, ಇದು ಇಯರ್ ಪಿನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅದರದ್ದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಬಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಹೀಟ್ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ನ ಅದು ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಬ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ Elon's rule. Okay, so this was for the organism which is living in the cold climate. And there is another rule, so that is called as a Glauber's rule. Glauber's rule. So this Glauber rule, it is kind of opposite of this Elon's rule, where the organisms living near the equator has darker skin and thick fur. Okay, so the organisms which is living near the equator. So near the equator, the amount of sun rays will be more, and hence there will be more sun radiation. Hence, the organism which is living near this equator, they will be having a darker skin and a thick fur. Suppose now here we have mentioned as a darker skin. So darker skin means that the melanin pigment will be more amount of a melanin pigment in the body. So the body will help. So this melanin pigment will help the body not from the harmful radiation of the sun. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಈವನ್ ಡಾರ್ಕರ್ ಸ್ಕಿನ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಲಾನಿನ್ ಪಿಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮೆಲಾನಿನ್ ಪಿಗ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಷ್ಟು ಸನ್ನಿಂದ ಎಮಿಟ್ ಆಗುವಂತಹ ರೇಡಿಯೇಷನ್, ಹಾರ್ಮ್ಫುಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯೇಷನ್ನ ಅದು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಥಿಕ್ ಫರ್. Okay, so why it is having a thick fur? Because fur means the hairs which will be present on the skin. So more amount of a fur is there. So amount of a radiation emitted by the sunlight will get reduced to penetrate into the body. So that is Glauber rule. So here in the Elon's rule, so the organism living in the cold climate, it is having the small ear pinna and the limbs. Hence, why? Because so whatever the heat is there, it should be retained in the body itself. It should not escape through the ears and the limbs. But whereas in Glauber's rule, so the organisms which is living near the equator, they have the darker skin. So why darker skin? Because the melanin pigment will be more here, and it is having the thick fur to avoid the harmful radiation to penetrate inside the organism. So this is called as a Glauber rule. Okay, so and some other adaptation like for the organisms which is living in the very cold climate. Okay, so here the organisms, so in the very cold climate, those organisms, they have a pigment. Okay, they will be having a pigment called as an antifreezer. Okay, it's an enzyme. So they have the enzyme. They have enzyme called antifreezer. So this antifreezer, this enzyme, it will avoid this enzyme, the antifreezer enzyme, this enzyme, it will help the organism to survive in the cold climate. Okay, to survive in the cold climate. Suppose if it is very having the cold climate, the organism, it will be not able to do some metabolic activity. The enzyme doesn't perform the metabolic activity. But here the enzyme called as antifreezer. So this antifreezer, it will proceed the metabolic activity. So this antifreezer, having the antifreezer as an enzyme, so it is an adaptation for the organism which is living in the cold climate. Okay, so if, in the cold climate, so it is having the enzyme called as a antifreezer. Suppose if we come for the very extreme climate, that is very hot climate, so this is a very cold climate. So if we see about the very hot climate, so here they have the enzyme. They have enzyme called Tag polymerase. ತುಂಬಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಹಾಟ್ ಟೆಂಪರೇಚರ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಎನ್ಸೈಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟ್ಯಾಗ್ polymerase. So very extreme condition, that is example is archaebacteria. So archaebacteria, it lives in the very extreme hot climate, right, temperature. Hence that archaebacteria, it should survive in this very hot climate, and hence there will be having the enzyme called as a tag polymerase, which can withstand even a very high temperature. So this was a certain adaptation taken by the organisms, and which we have noted two rules, that is Elons Rule and the Blogger's Rule. So this Elons Rule and Blogger's Rule, it is an important rule which they might ask for the 1 marks question. And even the enzyme, for a very cold climate, enzyme is antifreezer. For the very hot climate, enzyme is polymerase, tag polymerase enzyme. So this tag polymerase enzyme present in the bacteria, okay, present in the bacteria, archaebacteria, which is present in the very hot springs. Okay, so these were the certain adaptations. Now let's see about, now all this we have studied about the organism. So the chapter name was organism and population. Now let's see what all the different criteria we will study in the population. Okay, so that is next concept, it is population. Okay, so what is this population? Population means the number of species of the same species which is living in a given area. Okay, so here the number of same species living in a particular area, which compete for the food and the mating partner. Okay, so here it will compete for competing for food and interbreeding. So this is called as a population. Population ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸೇಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ಏನ್ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ for competing for a particular food and interbreeding. So this one it is called as a population. In the population, we will study the different criteria here. Okay, the first criteria that is birth rate. So in the population, there is another term which is called as attributes. Okay, population attributes. So what is this attributes? So the attributes means here the population is for the population of the same individual. Attributes andre population attributes. So population andre same species living in the same areas. Okay, living in the same area, competing for the food and the interbreed. Attributes andre where the dealing with the population of the same individual. Okay, so here the population of same individual. So this one it is called as attributes. In the population attributes, let's see the types. Okay, let's see the types in the population attribute. Okay, the first type it is a birth rate. Birth rate or natality. Okay, birth rate or natality. So this birth and the death rate is given in the term of a per capita. Okay, to understand the birth rate, now let's take an example here. So in a pond, last year it had 20 lotus. So last year one pond anadi 20 lotus ittu. Okay, so now in present year, lotus number is 28. So last year ಒಂದು pond ನಲ್ಲಿ lotus count ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ so ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು 20 lotus ಇತ್ತು. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಅದೇ ಒಂದು pond ನಲ್ಲಿ lotus ನಂಬರ್ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ so ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ ಈಗ 28 ಆಗಿದೆ. So now there is a increase in the individual. So now as we compared this 20 and 28, so now in this year there is an increase of the 8 lotus. So this increase the increased rate, that is called as a birth rate. Okay, the increased rate is will be the birth rate. So it is being taken. So it is being taken in the form of per capita. Okay, that is the per capita increase in the individual in the given space is known as a birth rate. Okay, so now here this birth rate, it is being taken given by the formula. So here the birth rate, so the number of individual, so number of species of individual added, number of individual added or increased individual by the total actual population. Okay, so birth rate, that is number of individual added by the actual population. So as we see here, the comparison by comparing now how much of lotus is being added, the lotus how much it is being added. So here the total 8 lotus it is being added, and how much actual the population of a lotus was before, so it was 20. So 20 by 8 by 20 is 0.4. So 0.4% it is a birth rate. Okay, so the first type it is birth rate or natality, means here as per capita the number of individual added to a given population per capita, the number of species added to the population, added to population. So this one it is called as a birth rate. Okay. So formula is number of individual added by the total actual population. With the example we took, the increased lotus is 8. But before, how much actually it was? 20. If you take a percentage, so there is a birth rate, how much increased? So it has been increased for 0.4%. Same like the second one, it is death rate. Okay, death rate or mortality. Death rate or mortality. So for this, let's write definition first. So per capita, the number of species died in a taken given died in a taken or given died in a given population. So this one, it is called as a death rate or the mortality. Okay, now let's see the example here. Any example we can take. Okay, so for this, even let's take the same example. So in a pond, the number of lotus previous year was 20, and now this year it is 16. Now this year it is 16. Now actually last year ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು 20 ಇತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸ್ಪೀಸೀಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಲೋಟಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ there will be the mortality or the death rate. So this is the we can take now this we took as a example. Now let's see the formula here. So same formula. So here we should just change here. In spite of added, we should write as deleted. So death rate. So here the number of individual or species deleted by the total population. By total population. So total population of a lotus was 20. So 16 by 20. Okay. So if we take the ratio of this, okay, 2 8s are 2 10s are. So here 16 by 20, it is 0.8%. Okay, it is 0.8% of a total death rate is being observed in the lotus. Okay, so this was about the natality and the mortality. Okay, so now let's see. So here the number of a death. Okay, if we take a difference of 20 and 16, so the number of individual deleted is 4, whereas the actual population it was 20. Okay, actual population it is 20. Okay, so here we get as 1 by 5, and if we further simplify, so what the percentage we will get, so that one will be the death rate. So ಎಷ್ಟು add ಆಗಿದೆ, okay, that one divided by actual population gives the birth rate. So how much it has been deleted, so that number divided by actual number, it will give the death rate. Okay. So this was about the natality and the mortality, the first one, and that one is the second one. And the third concept, okay, the third type in the population attribute, it is the sex ratio. Okay, the third one, it is sex ratio. So sex ratio means here the number of male and the female individual present in the population. Okay, the number of male and female individual present in a given population, so this one it is called as a sex ratio. Okay, sex ratio ದಲ್ಲಿ so male ಮತ್ತು female ratio ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಒಂದು population 100% ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ male population ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, female population ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ನಾವು ಕೌಂಟ್ ಏನು ತಗೋತೀವಿ, so that one it is called as a sex ratio. So for example, that is 60% of male ratio and 40% of that is female ratio, that is given by 6:4. So this is called this ratio, it is called as a sex ratio. Okay, and the next one it is age distribution. And the next type in population attribute, it is age distribution. And the fourth one, it is age distribution. So in the age distribution, that is the individual. Okay, so here we will take a count of an individual based on the age. So individual with the age. Here individual in age at a given population. So here we will take consideration of three types. One is pre-reproduction, second one the reproductive stage, and third one is post-reproduction, reproductive stage, and last one is post-reproduction. Now the age distribution we will take in the form of three criteria. One is pre-reproduction, which is a juvenile stage where the reproduction doesn't take place, and in the reproductive stage the organisms will reproduce to their offspring, whereas in the post-reproduction where it is also called as a aging or the senescence, so that one it is called as a post-reproduction. So based on this age distribution, we should understand this three in the form of a age pyramid. Okay, we should understand it in the form of age pyramids. Okay, age pyramid. Now in the age pyramid there are three types, and the first type it is growing population. Okay, in the growing population, here the pre-reproductive stage. Okay, the pre-reproductive stage will be larger. Okay, this is pre-reproductive stage, and as we compare to the pre-reproductive stage will be quite shorter. When we take about the post-reproductive stage, it will be still more shorter. So this one is pre-reproductive, and this one is reproductive, and this is post-reproductive. Okay, now so age pyramid nalli first type growing population. Growing population nalli pre-reproductive stage ಒಂದು ನಂಬರ್, ಓಕೆ, ನಂಬರ್ ಏನು ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ pre-reproductive ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜುವಿನೈಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರು ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ರಿಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಇನ್ನ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ when we compare this post-reproductive with the reproductive, it will be still smaller than the reproductive stage. So this type it is called as a growing population. ಒಂದು population ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಏಜ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, it is growing population. So this growing population, so if we take an example is majorly the India, China, all this it will come under the age pyramid of a growing population. So our country it is of growing population. Why? Because so our age pyramid is like this. Okay, so the reproductive phase, so as the pre-reproductive phase, when it enters to the reproductive phase, the number it is quite decreasing. So if the age pyramid is like this, then it is called as a growing population. For example, India, China. And the next type it is steady population. And then in the age pyramid, the next type it is steady population. Steady means what? Steady means almost these three stages, these three phases are the number, the count will remain the same. Okay, steady population. To understand this in the easy manner, so what are the three phases? That is pre-reproductive, here reproductive, and this one is post. So here the number of here in this steady population, the count, okay, the count of these three stages, it will more or less it is remain same. Okay, so even more stages kuda steady population alli it is less or more. Okay, swalpa vary agutte, so almost same iruttalla, so that one it is called as a steady population. For this, the example is Australia. So Australia population, it is almost steady. Numerally, so in India the population is keep on growing, whereas in steady, so like example in Australia, whatever the population count is there, so it will remain almost the same. Why? Because all these three phases it is more or less it is similar in the number. Okay, that one is a steady population. And the last one it is decline population. Okay, decline population, which is refers to this growing population. So it will be pre-reproductive stage it was less, right? It was more, but here the pre-reproductive stage it will be quite less, and reproductive stage will be more, and then the post-reproductive stage will be still more. So this is reproductive, and this one is post. Okay, so here here we can see the graph. The graph it is inverted, means here post is more, reproductive is still lesser than post-reproductive, and pre-reproductive is lesser than the reproductive phase. So this kind of a pyramid, age pyramid, it is called as a decline population. Okay, it is called as a decline population. So ee tara ಒಂದು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ population count ಏನಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, so generation after generation population count it keeps on decreasing. For this the example it is Japan. Okay, the example is Japan, so that is called as a decline population. Hence, in the government, to avoid this decline population and the growing population, for example in India, so the number of the children, okay, number of children they should be less. So less number of children, they will give more benefits to their children, like they will add the incentives, Okay, they will give loans to them. So all these benefits will be there in the growing population. If the number of the children for a couple, it should be less. For around 1 to 2 should be a maximum in the growing population. Whereas in the declining population like Japan, so the government will suggest the citizen over there to increase the growth rate, okay, to increase the rate of a couple giving birth for the children. Okay, so more number of children for a couple if they have, so the government of Japan, they will give the more incentives. Why? Because this country is having a decline population. So here the number of the individual, if the children giving birth, the children number count is more, then this government will give the incentives. So in the growing population, the children count should be less. Okay, and then the government will give the incentives, loans, and many other benefits will be given. So this 3 types, it will come under the age distribution. So age distribution will take in the three major type, that is pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. To understand the age pyramid, so we have to guess growing, steady, and the decline population. So this was some of the age of some of the population attributes. So still more attributes. Let's continue in the next class. Thank you.